I would say with this hunt, one of the most important things is our hide. In the off season, it was probably 3-4 weeks before season started. I went out there with a tractor. I mowed the whole pasture as best I could. I wanted to make it look low, make it look like a golf course, make it look like the area the birds wanted to be in. But while I was out there mowing, I kept in mind areas we've hunted in the years past in locations where we tried to hide. So I left a lot of natural cover out there. I left cover on each side of the hill, depending on when we hunted it, where the wind would be, where the sun would be, and a couple natural locations where we've hunted in the years past, down a low creek ditch, because I knew that at some point during that season we'd have to use that cover to hide in. So right here is the layout blinds. We stuck them back here on this old dried up creek ditch. We have plenty of cover. We took our ghillies out there, our beaver blankets, covered them up with natural cover. And as you can see, the birds had no clue we were there. They were not looking down that creek ditch. They were looking out in front of us, looking into our decoys. And of course, they saw no layout blinds. So anytime you can back up out of your decoys, get into a better hide, you're going to be a lot more effective. You're going to finish the birds in the decoys, and they're not going to have a clue you're there. Now as for the decoy spread, it's still an early season setup. We did a lot of little family groups. We did some walkers walking up the hill. Made it look natural, made it look like a relaxed state. But I used the high quality, best decoys I had. I used Avian X fully flocked decoys. Because of the situation, I knew the birds wanted to land out here on this hilltop, so I wanted the birds to be comfortable and land amongst the decoys. Now sometimes if you don't use a real high-end decoy, birds tend to land on the edges, especially big honkers. But we found out when we're using Avian X or a high-quality decoy, them birds have no problem landing in the center. As you can see, the birds are coming from the north, popped right over the decoys that were there, and we're trying to get in that center every time. Now most of the birds we shot were feet down, coming in the decoys. They didn't see us. We were back out of the way. When they're coming in there, they're looking for layout blinds, but they don't see anything because it's not there. There's very short grass out there, no humps, no bodies, birds finishing right. Okay, the birds were probably 30-35 yards, but like I said, they're finishing. I would rather shoot a bird finishing at 30 yards than a bird flaring out at 15 yards because he just saw you in your layout blinds. Okay, I like to try to be hidden, even if it's back out of the way. Now, there's several things you have to be careful of. You have to watch your calling, and you have to watch any kind of flagging you do because the birds will look past those decoys and they'll pinpoint you back here. And that's exactly what you don't want. So you got to be careful on the sounds and your flagging. That's why we used kind of like an X flapper. We ran 2 of those up here on the corners. That was our motion. I didn't have any flags. Nobody back here had any flags. We don't want the birds to look at us and see us down here in this low spot. So whatever kind of motion it is, if you've got a jerk cord, flapper, whatever it is, but I use these X flappers, put them out here, that was our flag, and that was our motion. When the birds were far off, I'd push a button, and it'd flap, birds would come in from up here, they'd see it. It's the same thing as running a flag, but you're not in the decoys. You're up out of them, and the birds aren't paying attention to you. So all in all, there was a lot of things that made this hunt successful for us. Everything just happened to line up. We had a southeast wind. It's kind of blowing over our back, kind of catty corner. The sun was coming up behind us. A lot of molt migrators, birds were coming from the north. Almost all the birds that came from the north were the birds that went into our decoys. A lot of the birds that were coming over here from a different roost, they'd been in and out there for the past 2 weeks. We've been shooting at them. They were a little bit smarter. A lot of those birds were kept bypassing us, or like we break off 2 as you see and kill those. But the birds we were killing were molt migrators coming from the north. They landed right in here. They had no clue we were there because we were hidden. We were back on the decoys. We used natural cover that I had left there. Whether it's something that it's man-made or it's something that the farmer left there, use that natural cover. Set your decoys lifelike. Use a good high-quality decoy to get the birds to finish in there, and you can shoot them finishing instead of flaring every time.